It's a Tuesday with Thompson, and the PT joins us as we take a look at a variety of things around the sports world. He's the host of the Pete Thompson Show, Saturday mornings at 8 o'clock on 97.3 ESPN. Peter?
Michael, were you up early? Were you listening to me and Scott Lauber last Saturday talk about how awkward it was in that room?
I actually was, and I actually did listen to you and Scott Lauber. I enjoyed it greatly. I thought you actually asked some really good questions, and I thought you pushed back on a couple things uncharacteristically of the PT. But no, I thought it was a very well-done interview, and Scott's great, but you did a really good job. So we'll start with that. You got Buck Showalter, you got Dusty Baker, you got Joe Girardi. Does the PT have a leader in the clubhouse?
Like if I was laying odds like you guys do regularly on the show, I would say that Showalter's the favorite because of his connections to McPhail and even Klentak, and, just because I think Showalter has all those ties. That said, if you were saying who does the PT want in there, I'd love Joe Girardi to be in there. I think he'd come in and kick a little butt and really set down some discipline and some rules. I don't think you'd be sitting there asking why players didn't hustle. And I certainly think that if Joe Girardi was yelling at you or benching you for something you did on the field, you would know it. It wouldn't be like Gabe where, that he benches a guy and says, oh, sure, it's been handled. And then they go to the guy and the guy says, no, it's just my day off.
Yeah.
Like, what?
So what did you think of the press conference?
It's one of the most bizarre 57 minutes of my life, and I was in school, right? So I had to DVR it, and when I came home and I watched
I can't believe that the Phillies okayed that to be re-aired. That's how bad I thought it was.
That's true. They could have just quashed it and squashed it away, but I guess, again, is it the Phillies that okayed it to be re-aired, or is it John Middleton, who is not just a potted plant,
Yes, I've heard.
My goodness, that's the thing. So I had seen some of the social media before I even got home, so I was like, all right, this is going to be interesting because based on what I'm seeing on Twitter and social media, the optics were not good for the Phillies. And, like Scott said, like Mike McGarry said on Saturday, it was like John Middleton and the Midettes. It was him, Gladys Knight, and the Pips, and John Middleton was playing Gladys Knight, and the other two were playing the boobs. The Pips. The morons. Good Lord. It was bizarre.
PT, what does this team need the most? Like you mentioned Girardi, and you say there's never going to be an issue with players hustling and, whipping them into shape and, the fundamentals and everything else that I guess he would bring. But is that top on the list for this team right now?
Oh, gosh, no. Top on the list right now is starting pitching. And a healthy bullpen. And,
sure, but I mean how it relates to the next manager. What's the most important quality for the next manager to have and bring to this organization?
Well, and I'd be okay with a guy that can kind of merge and blend the analytics to the old school. I understand the game has changed. I understand you don't bunt the runner over anymore. I understand it's a home run driven league. I get that. That said, I still think there's some, you almost got in Cap where he was it was like the guy with the brand new toy. What does this button do? What does this button do? Hey, guess what? We can do this. It was all overthinking and a switch for the change of you can find, to me, statistics and data are those things kind of almost like, God forbid, if you get pulled over and the police officer's writing a ticket. It's his word versus yours or his or her. You can find any statistics or data that support your managerial decision. So I think they need a guy that's sort of more old schooler in this is how it's traditionally done. And, in fact, one of the things I think they need the most, Ryan, I'm a big believer in roles, okay? And I know there's some of the skippers they're looking at out there that believe in, this is my seventh inning guy, this is my eighth inning guy, or, this is the first bat I'm going to bring off the bench. With Gabe, you had no idea what the heck they were going to do.
Pete Thompson, the host of the Pete Thompson Show, Saturday mornings, 8 a.m., 97.3 ESPN. Eagles lose. Everybody is up in arms about the secondary. The sky's falling in. Doug said it. Oh, we get it. The sky's falling in. so we're going to win in Dallas. So are you, as a fan, looking at that game and saying the sky is falling and this season is going off the rails, or was it a one-game outliner?
I think I'm not sky is falling. I do think our secondary is terrible, and I think they didn't get a lot of pass rush. I mean, everybody's so quick to highlight the secondary because, especially in a game like that where, they made Kirk Cousins look like, Brett Favre throwing bombs or like aerial assault. I mean, like Kurt Warner back in the fun days when he was lofting them up inside the dome. I mean, he was slinging it without abandon because the secondary, specifically, I'm thinking of you, Sidney Jones, was so bad, right? That said, Kirk Cousins can't throw any touchdown passes to Stephon Diggs if he's on his rear end. And I don't think that the Eagles have – I mean, I know Schwartz doesn't like the blitz, but they haven't gotten that push from the front four that they've gotten in years past. So to me, two-pronged attack for what the problem was in that game, and yet they still found themselves within a touchdown, and that's, of course, the whole fake field goal thing was an absolute joke. Doug trying to defend himself on why he went for the fake field goal when they pressed him back was an absolute joke. The fact that he tried to get testy with Les Bowen when he said, so now you're saying I didn't prepare my team, and Les, to his credit, Les was like, I'm not saying anything, dude. You're up there with the microphone. I'm asking questions. You're the coach. You answer them. So I don't think the sky is falling. I just think it's an outlier, to answer your question.
Well, see,
I do believe that.
See, my question, Peter, is this their pseudo Saints moment from last year, where they were so decimated in the secondary, and we were like, this team stinks, and it's like, they don't stink. This secondary stinks because they're all hurt. Once they got that secondary slowly back, the team started to play better. So can we expect that to happen? They're going to get Mills back. They're going to get Darby back. You're going to get Avonte Maddox back. So is that going to fix things?
I think it'll fix it to a degree, but I also think, and again, it's the old song, the hip bone's connected to the thigh bone kind of thing. The corners will only look better if you can have Derek Barnett and you can have, Fletcher Cox, obviously he's double teamed every play, but if you can get Vinny Curry, I love Vinny when he comes on, if you can get these guys getting push and getting the quarterback in trouble, that's the thing. They let Kirk Cousins have time to pick apart that secondary. They weren't going up against a porous line like the Jets, and all of a sudden you went from 10 sacks to, is there anybody on the front four getting pushed? No. So I think they're connected. Yes, I think it's like a one-off. I think it's going to be their low moment. But that said, they can only improve. The secondary can only improve as long as the front four improves too.
What were your thoughts about, you bring up Fletcher Cox, PT, so he said that they can't get the bleep out of their own way. And I think that's interesting because we brought it up a little bit, after the 7-drop game, and we talked about discipline and fundamentals. How much of a factor do you and MG, both of you, how much of a factor do you think that really is in the team's struggles? Because all we talk about is, not all we talk about, but the focus is on the secondary injuries and their issues and their lack of talent. But you have Fletcher Cox coming out and saying, we're shooting ourselves in the foot, essentially.
Right. And I mean, listen, if for his side of the ball, if you're on the defensive side, you are mad. Like, who knows how much too. I mean, they cut a linebacker who was stupid enough to pop off his mouth. A guy that's an actual NFL linebacker. This wasn't some guy, Zach Brown, that was on the practice squad and it's just some schlub that barely got some playing time. This is like, I'm not saying he's an all-pro, but I'm saying he's a legitimate NFL player that's just not the way things are done. It's hard enough to win in the National Football League. Don't provide them like total ammunition to make Kirk Cousins get fired up. And, don't absolve the pass rush like I've been talking about. They had 1 sack, but they didn't hit him enough. They didn't hurry him enough. I mean, that's what Fletcher Cox is talking about where he's saying they're shooting themselves in their own foot. And then that's only on his side of the ball. My biggest disappointment with this team is these slow starts. They put up a graphic after the game. Maybe it was the next day. They put up a graphic Monday morning, and I saw it on NBC Sports Philadelphia. They've trailed in every single stinking game. And only seeing it visually was like, oh, you know what? They did trail to Washington, but they came back to win. They did trail, but there's times they've come back to win, and then there's times that they've trailed, and that's another reason Doug got pissed off the other day, because he's basically joking with him and saying, like, well, sure, yeah, so we're not going to defer anymore. I'll just make sure I take the ball all the time, Like, well, geez, Doug, you don't have to get all petulant and pissy. Like, I mean, it's a fair question.
He did say that they may legitimately start doing that, though. Like, they may stop deferring.
I think if you saw his face, when he said it the first time, he was saying it serious. When they brought it back to talk about the deficits, he said it with that look of like, all right, move on, AKA the Drew Rosenhaus voice. Next question, right?
Pete Thompson, he's the host of the Pete Thompson Show, Saturday mornings, 8 o'clock. You can hear more of these strong opinions in the 8 a.m. slot on 97.3 ESPN. Producer Hunter Brody, you and Hunter Brody, both hockey guys. PT, I got to admit, Saturday night, I was watching Flyers Vancouver, and I stayed to the end, man. I made it to the end. Now there's a game tonight, and I'm all honked up for it. I'm ready to go. Although Brian Elliott, as I predicted, Ryan, he's in that. He is in that tonight because you got the back-to-backs, and you figure, all right, let him play against his former team, and his numbers against them are pretty good. That means tomorrow night Hart will go against Edmonton. But I know it's early, and I'm watching. I'm in right now. But do you see a definitive difference between a Dave Haxtell coach Flyers team and a Alain Vigneault Flyers coach team?
100%. And again, you're right. It's only 3 games in, but they are so far up on their skates, as they say, when you lace them up. They have a little bit more speed. They put puck pressure on. Their forechecking is different. They actually seem motivated out there. And then the young guys, the Travis Konecny of the world or Oscar Lindblom, the older guys haven't really done much. Like Voracek hasn't done anything. Giroux has a point. Some of the older players haven't done stuff, but the young guys have stepped up and have come through with timely goals. If you did watch that game the other night, MG, so there was a period of time under the Haxtell Flyers, they were down, and that's it. They were going to be down, and that was the end of that, and they managed to tie it up the other night before, of course, they obviously fell in the end. But, to me, that's the biggest difference in this team is that just like as was advertised, Alain Vigneault comes in, takes over the team, and has them all rowing in the same direction, has them all playing his style of play, which is puck pressure, which is dump and chase. They're dumping and chasing a lot. I read a really interesting article today about how, like, the way the NHL is now, and this is maybe the analytics of the NHL, is that carrying the puck in is supposed to be the better way to do it in 5-on-5 rather than dump and chase. To be honest with you, I don't give a flying hoot how you get the puck in. Just get it in and put pressure. You're going to win a lot more games if you're in their end more than you're in your own end, right? I mean, that's simple math.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on, you bring up Voracek. His ice time seems to be going down a little bit. He only had 14 minutes and change on Saturday, and now JVR moved up to the first line, right? So
that's the beauty of it. So there's an Alain Vigneault difference. Last year, Alain Vigneault didn't like what he saw out of Voracek in the Devils game, right? So what did he do? He slashed his ice time in the Vancouver game because you're not going to – look, Voracek started the game in Prague, for God's sakes. They made the trip, basically, so his grandma could see him play. And, he played okay in that one, but not great. Vigneault saw it a second time and said, you know what? I don't care that you're Jake Voracek making all that money and one of this team's leaders. I'm putting you down to the bottom line. I'm putting you down to the fourth line. Maybe you'll get the message. And I would be shocked if Voracek doesn't move back up to a line tonight and maybe responds. That's something that Haxtell would have never done. He would have been too wimpy or too clueless to do, and it just would have let bad behavior continue.
Wimpy's a good word.
Wimpy, those trash bag commercials.
That's right. And it was also the hamburgers from Popeye the Sailor Man.
I'll gladly pay you for a hamburger on Tuesday.
I'll gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today, Peter.
Oh, yeah, that guy could put them away, just like the PT.
That's right. So, Pete Thompson, Saturday, we met your buddy John Henderson and was in here today, all right?
I love that guy.
From the Witchcraft. And
I am in, man. I got a text, okay? I wasn't in my car, so I wasn't listening, but I got a text. The PT is connected, and they said, hey, Gil's ripping on you, saying you're not going to show up. and I said, I am 100% pot committed.
Wow.
I am showing up.
Woo!
You
that
should
is
see
It's in my
breaking
phone.
news.
There's no excuses. I'll be there.
All
Loved
right,
it.
all right. I got to get to the bottom of this.
Yeah,
then.
let's back it up.
Because if I would have just said, "Hey, we're going to the thing," you would have witchcraft. We're going to have some fun. You would have figured out a way. Who was the deciding force that now you are lock, stock, and barreled into this thing?
Well, you were on me pretty heavy from the beginning, number one. I did put it in my phone, so for the last 6 to 10 days, I've been telling everybody, like, yeah, so that Saturday night I have, witchcraft, and I'll be going out there. Now, look, I did some research to try and find a Newman costume. First of all, you know that I have more X's than I should in my sizing chart. Secondly, even if you find like a replica postal costume, you're not going to find one big enough to fit the PT. And then third, I was trying to go on like eBay and stuff. I'm not paying $65 just to wear a postal coat. Like, come on.
I did think that
Doing my Newman research.
Yeah, I did. That's hilarious.
That's great.
I did think that same thing, Peter, as we were talking about this. Like, where is he going to find a postal outfit of that size?
Well, that's what I was saying. Just the whole Seinfeld potential costume idea. It's going to be tough to find all the necessary items to pull it off.
We did find a couple new ideas today. All right.
All right. What are they? I heard a little bit of one. Didn't I hear you? No, I was getting in the car just as I was when I got that text and I turned it on. I heard you say like there's some other things, but I couldn't remember what you said.
Yeah. So Jeff Mosher brought up a good one. He brought up that possibly we could dress as the 97-3 curling team.
That's funny. How do we dress like that?
That's a good question.
What's a solid follow-up
I
question.
said, what do you wear, like a great pair of slacks? That's a great costume for you.
Yeah, I got the slacks.
Slacks
but
and a
I
polo.
would think curling, don't the curlers have to wear like little shin guards so you can kind of slide along the ice and
I don't
stuff?
think so. I think they have
depends
like
on your position.
No, they have like a special shoe that has like a
Well,
sliding
look,
material.
We can find a
on the bottom.
broom, but who's drawing the? Are we drawing straws for who has to carry around the rock?
Yeah, the rock's
Or the
just going to
stone?
sit on the floor on the ground next to you while you drink beer.
That'd be
Well, you
awesome.
have
We need like
I think to really be a good curling team, you need like lederhosen or something.
All right, so maybe the curling team, all right, like the one guy. Remember the guy from USA? He had the mustache and he had the hat with the flat brim. I mean, he just had a great look to him. He looked like he was right from Wisconsin.
What's our number, too? Like, how many costumes are we trying to get to?
Well, there's 4 of us here. There's Mike Gill. I'm the host of the show. Ryan Rothstein and Jeff Mosher are co-hosts with me here on the show. They do the show daily from 2 to 6. Pete Thompson, host of the
I heard of that guy.
Pete Thompson show.
He's 8 to 10 on
so
Saturdays.
there'll be 4 of us that will be collectively trying to put together a costume. We're trying to have fun. We don't want to. I don't want to. Like Ryan suggested, kiss. I said I don't want to put paint on my face.
Nope, don't want to do that.
I don't want to do that either. I don't even know why I suggested it.
Right, this is witchcraft, right? Mike Gill with all the craft. The key word there is craft in that second half.
There is over 50 different craft beer distributors. So I think John said today there's about 130 plus beers that are going to be sampled.
Oh, that's fantastic. The thing is you don't want to make the rookie move of getting some mask. Okay, a mask is going to cover your mouth, and your mouth is where you drink.
Yeah, mask is out.
Mask is so out.
Masks are out. Plus, again, PT has a giant head. PT sweating profusely under the mask. Nobody wants that.
No one wants to.
No. Maybe we could be the
if
NFL
you
officials,
painted me up
PT.
like Kiss, I'd look like the Joker, but with half the paint on. It'd be like half melted out.
That would be great, actually.
PT, what about the NFL officials? How's that?
So where are we going to get like the zebra stripes that are... Oh, actually, you know what? My man, Paulie G, who's the umpire, I'm pretty sure I can fit in his shirt.
All right, Paulie G.
He's on Big Game George McClain's crew.
There you go. Well, I'm sure there's an official listening that's saying, PT, I got you covered.
We got a good one, though. MG, you sent me one. Yeah.
The one that so we would be the Price is Right, like the 4
contestants.
Like the contestants with and then you'd have like suspenders and holding up like the
cardboard. Yeah.
So mine would say $1, right?
Yes.
That's what I'm worth. $1.
Yours would say $1.
Yeah, yours would be $1, and then we would.
A guy from Freehold won like $250,000 on the Price is Right.
Yeah, well,
Really?
a buddy of mine who used to host this show with me, he was
I know
on
that
The
guy.
Price is Right.
That's sick.
Yeah.
On the whole thing. It was like the $1 million thing, and he played
he didn't win on that show. He got
not
to
Todd. I'm talking about the freehold guy.
Okay, I got you.
Ah.
All right. So we got some options, but Pete Thompson. Now it sounds like you're kind of gun ho here.
Yeah, I hear it in his voice.
I'm in. I mean,
which will make the bail that much better.
Yeah, but there's something that happened here because he was not this in last time.
Yeah, I think he just realizes, the cards are stacked against him, and it's just going to be easier to have fun with his friends and just come, right?
Right. Just accept
it.
The hand that you've been dealt.
Right.
No, I think somebody
and enjoy it.
I think somebody that he values more than this show texted him and said, "You got to be there."
Well, listen, I want to support anything that John Henderson's involved with.
There we go.
Fan all that too. So it's a perfect synergy. It's perfect pairing.
I like it.
Okay, Peter. Well, try to think of a good costume for the four of us.
Four of us.
Yep.
Right.
By the way,
let me keep thinking.
Before we let you roll here,
I'm Peter Griffin. We don't have a Cleveland, right?
Yeah, you're perfect for that role, but the rest of us can't fill out the rest of that cast.
Yeah, who's Quagmire?
Quagmire.
Oh, yeah.
I'll be Quagmire.
Quagmire. All right. You got anything good cooking on the Pete Thompson show? That Lauber interview was good, by the way.
Thank you. And I do remember when I pressed back, I actually came back over the top rope and thought to myself, I even waved at Hunter like, hey, did you see what I did there? And Hunter was just, off in La La Land. And I thought, somewhere I hope Gil heard that. I actually followed up.
I did. And I said, did Pete Thompson just fire one back at him? By the way, your buddy Kevin Kugler is calling the game on Sunday Night Football. So,
yeah, I'll have to text him and see if I can get him on.
There you go.
Kevin is tough to track down sometimes.
I'm producing your show while doing my own.
I'm fine with that. And were you listening? I haven't confirmed this. Were you listening the time that John McMillan reminded me that the name of my show is my name?
I might have missed that.
That was 2 Saturdays ago. That may be one of the funniest moments I've ever had because, you reset, and I said, John McMillan with us here on the Sports the show. And he just started laughing, and then I started laughing. I said, geez, John, I almost forgot the name of the show, to which he fires back, which is really hard to do since it's
your name. All right, Peter, you're going to make it to the Flyers game tonight, 9 o'clock.
I'll be up. I'll be watching.
Hey, by the way,
I'll be tweeting.
Did you make it to the Rage Room?
Yes.
I did. I saw the Rage Room. I did not get inside the Rage Room and break anything because, it was all set up for the first actual pay.
Well, I got news for you. The first person in the Rage Room, you know who it was?
I thought it was Kate Nolan with Gritty. Is that right?
Katie Nolan. She will be on the show in a couple of Wednesdays from now.
Oh, she's fantastic. Yeah, I'm a big fan.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
All right. So she's the first ever Rage Roomer. You didn't get to get in there.
No, I mean, I saw it. The guy took me in.
So what's the premise? How often is it open? When can you go in? Like, how many people could do it in a game?
2. Well, 1 to 2 per time. It's open. I do. That's the thing, though. I do think they shut it down like third period or fourth quarter. I don't think it's open like post game, which is where you'd really want to rage.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Well, it makes sense. After the drinks are flowing throughout the game.
I just want to know where they're getting all these TVs.
That's what I said. I think they're all of the suites and everything that they redesigned. I think they got to do something with all the TVs, so they're having you break them, and they're going to say, "This is a bad idea. This is done."
Well, once they run out of TVs, then they'll say they're done.
That's what I'm saying. Once they break all the TVs from those old suites, I guarantee you that's going to turn into a bad idea. All right, Peter.
All right, guys. Good talking to you.
That's Tuesday with Thompson, and Flyers tonight 9 puck drop. Tomorrow night 9:30 puck drop.
There was no hesitation from the PT for Saturday.
He's in.
He's in heavy.
Big time.